morning, a very good Tuesday morning, and welcome to another edition of Mama Watara Talks. This talk comes to you from a place of peace and utmost love. It's such a beautiful day. The sun is shining. I don't know if it's going to interfere with the lighting on this video, but it doesn't really matter. What is important is what I'm going to say, and another important thing is I want to remember this day as it is, with the sun shining bright, because in the coming few weeks, all this is gonna be kaput. So Mama Watara Talks, I'm back. It's been a while. Today I want to talk about work. Yes, I want to talk about work and how to navigate the employment industry in the UK or in the diaspora. I'm currently in Scotland. Yeah, that's where I live, and I've been here for the last 2 years. So this week will mark exactly 2 years since I arrived in Scotland, Glasgow. And 1 year was probably consumed by the pandemic. So back to the main topic, work. I started working as a young girl at about the age of, I think 10 or 11, which is unusual for where I come from, because most people end up working after they finish high school and maybe when they go to college, get some skills, and then that's when people start working, maybe in their mid-20s or so. But I started working at a tender age of around 10 or 11, which was part-time, and this is how I came to start work. My mom was a nurse, recently retired. Yes, my mom was a nurse, and we lived in a small town called Kisumu City. So in Kisumu, my mom always had a side hustle, what they call a side hustle now. She always had a business running on the side, even though she was a full-time nurse. So at this particular time, my auntie was a tailor, yes, a seamstress. And she partnered with my mom, and my mom would provide the capital. They would buy fabric downtown at the Indian stores. If you live in Kisumu, then you know that. And then my auntie would stitch the clothes, and then very early in the morning on Saturdays or Sundays, my mom and I plus my auntie, we would go to the local market. It was actually a huge market called Kibuye. If you've been to Kisumu, you know this market. And there we would spread our clothes that were nicely stitched, and they were really good looking clothes. So that is what made us stand out. So whilst other people brought in, second-hand or low-quality clothes, we invested in high quality, but not very expensive. The price was about, I think, 230 shillings to 250, depending on the client. So that's affordable for what we were giving, the quality. So I went through the whole process with my mom of going to the fabric store downtown in Kisumu, to the Indian stores, and then I would sit with my auntie like every other day when I was not in school and watch her stitch. And I learned a few things about stitching from my aunt, because I love fabric and I love fashion. So, and then on Sundays, I would also accompany them to the market, like I said before. So I saw the process of how this business was run. So that is how I came into contact with work. And from that business, my mom taught me how to sell, how to speak to customers, how to market yourself and stand out when you're selling a product. So I learned that later on helped me a lot in my life, because I think for about 10 years of my career, I was in sales and marketing. So those tips came through on how to deal with customers. So fast forward to the UK, we all move for greener pastures. And as a mother in the UK, it can be a bit tricky to work, because we don't have the luxury of having housekeepers in these countries. So we have daycare. In other countries, they have daycares, we have nannies, we have other options. But boy, are they expensive or not expensive. So that's one thing. Two, if you come to this country or any other country, if you want to relocate, you have to adjust your mind that you are going to start from the ground. Some people are lucky enough to be able to transfer their skills from home and quickly bounce into work here. But if you have a child, it can be a bit tricky, because the 9-to-5 jobs or the 8-to-5 jobs that, would be for the kind of skills that you brought back from home will require you to be at work. And then when you have a child, you have to drop them to school and you have to pick them up as well. So that can be challenging. And this daycare or nanny or, these drop-in centers, what are they called? I'm forgetting this name. There's a name here. To come back to me later. They're not cheap. So if you, let's say, if you get, so what happens most of the time is you might have to resort to lower cadre employment, where the menial jobs, where they're more physical. And that is the one thing that I want to talk about, is that physical jobs in the UK are so demanding. Like where I come from, I did not do those kind of jobs, like manual jobs, you know, they involve nguvu, you have to be strong. But I don't know about that the experience of people who do those kind of jobs back home in Africa. But in the UK, I can testify that it is not easy. It is not a walk in the park. So when you get these kind of jobs, by the way, they're easy to come by. These ones are all over the place, which is caregiving, no, not security, because you must train to be a security guard. Yes, it's not just you going to hold a stick and standing by there. So it's caregiving, domestics, which is mostly cleaning, housekeeping. Those kind of jobs are readily available, but they are so demanding. Like you're gonna work. From what I saw, the difference between work in the UK and work back home, I cannot speak for Africa because, you know, I only have experience with Kenya, is that work is relaxed. You can actually go to work where I come from, and then after work have a social life. But that is not possible here, because by the time you go to this kind of jobs, you know, they suck you dry. They make sure that they get every ounce of you that they can get. You know, you'll be paid, yeah, because but they will, you'll be back home, you'll be feeling like a truck has crushed you like 10 times. So you're working back to back. And most of those jobs also, there's barely any lunch break. You'll have like, the most I've had is 30 minutes lunch break when I had one of those jobs. So lunch break is like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, you know, it's not a joke. And then don't forget that the kind of food that we eat here, some people don't have access to the foods that we had in Africa, which are more, you know, the more nutritious, the healthy, you know, the kind of food that when you eat, you can do this kind of jobs. We don't have them here, but you can access them through the African market, but not everything. So you can imagine if you're working a physically demanding job and probably you're not eating as properly, that can be tricky. So you need a lot of energy for these jobs, and you need to switch that bulb in your head that these jobs are gonna be tough. It's gonna be hard. No one will tell you about this, but when you get there, you know, since I began, it's only become worse. You know, the first one that I went to, I thought that, whoa, this is hard work. Then the second one, I think, was even worse. And now, as I'm gearing up to start my third job, I know what I'm getting into. It's not even that I'm expecting that it will be any less difficult. So at the moment, because I have a 6-year-old that I need to drop and pick, and I've not sorted out my after school care breakfast club, so it's on me. But the beauty of it is that some of these jobs, you might get a few hours, like they're not necessarily an 8-hour job. Some of them can be 3 hours depending on where you work. Some of them can be 5 hours. But then again, you have to be smart enough to get a job that is within your locality where you stay. Because if you get a job that you're only gonna go there for 3 hours so that you can come back and take care of your child, and then you need to pay transport. Transport is expensive. That's another thing I realized. Like where I come from in Kenya, you can pay 20 shillings, 50 shillings, 100 shillings, but here, you know, transport is gonna cost you. So you have to factor that in. So that's another thing. So it's hard. It's not easy doing this kind of jobs, and because of the kind of visas that we are on, depending on which one you're on, you might not be able to access education or upgrade your skills immediately when you come in. So you have to fast start, because at the end of the day, you have to make money. Life has to go on. So you have to start somewhere. So in the meantime, you're going to have to do those kind of jobs for some people, like I said. And it is what it is. So go in with the mentality knowing that it's hard work. 2, it's gonna drain you and take every ounce out of you. And as a mother, as a wife, when you come back home, quality of life is not the same. You need a lot of support around you. Otherwise, mentally, you can easily crash. So that's it. You know, that is my work experience in the UK. So when you come here, there are lots of jobs. You'll be paid. There's a minimum wage, so that makes it easy. You don't have to worry that somebody's going to underpay you. I'm also sure if people have those kind of experiences out there, but I've not had those kind of experiences. So far, when you get to work, you know exactly what you're making. And yeah, it's going to be long hours, it's going to be hard hours. Then as we get into the winter season, the winter season, it's not going to be easy, because when you come here, no one is going to tell you how brutal and intense the winters can be. So yeah, coupled with hard work, hard labor, those two combined can drive you nuts. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, you know, you go, you work, you take your money and you leave. And another thing that I forgot to mention is that because you're different, you know, if you're African and you come to these countries, you're going to look different. So while you are at work, you might face some kind of opposition, because God forbid it comes from your supervisor or your work colleagues, coupled with the fact that the work is hard. You know, also at work, I've realized you'll meet a lot of people who just want to breeze through. You know, they came to work, but they don't want to work. And meanwhile, you're sitting there working, and at the same time, the supervisor is... So I got cut off memory space. So last but not least, I want to mention that if you come from a country or a place where job opportunities are not as many, and you get to the UK, US, or whatever you relocate to, before you apply for a job, just clearly think through and know what you're getting yourself into. Don't just pick a job because it's presented itself to you and you're going to be paid for it. Because at the end of the day, your mental health and really matters. So yeah, know what you're getting into. Don't be in a hurry to pick. Don't be desperate. And another thing that has also worked for me is talk to people. Wherever you live, don't be afraid to talk to people. Talk to your neighbors. You can't even imagine how resourceful people can be. We don't experience nepotism per se, but networking is very important. Some of the jobs that you're going to get, or you will get to learn of opportunities from people around you. So like, I don't mind talking to the neighbors when I'm going out for a walk, when I'm dropping my child at school, because the school is not too far from us, so I walk. I speak to the neighbors, you know, start conversations, say hello, and from the hello, ask them what they do. So you get a bit of an idea of what people do around you. You know, what do you do? And then in the process, if whatever they do connects with what is in line with what you're looking for in terms of work, then you can talk to them and tell them you're looking. People, you might be surprised. People have a lot of information. Like last week, I was walking my child to school, and then when I got back, bumped into a neighbor who was in uniform, and I had worked for that particular company before, but it was too far away from my house. So I was spending a lot of hours on the road to go and do a job that was draining. And then at the end of the day, I just thought to myself after 6 months that, is it really worth it? Because I had to leave very early in the morning and then come back later. So that meant I couldn't drop my child to school, nor could I pick her up. And I don't think that was very, at this moment, she's still too young. So I just feel like she needs me. If not in the morning, maybe in the afternoon. Children need reassurance when they're going to school. And then when they come from school, they need to see a familiar face. They've been away all day long. So they just need, they need their mom. So for that reason, after 6 months of working there, amongst many other things, I thought to myself, and I was like, I'm done. So this neighbor was in uniform, and I was talking to her, and she told me that actually, you know what, there's a vacancy coming up, and it's right across the road, because it's a small health center across the road for, I can't say, it's not the outpatient, outpatient so services. They don't do inpatient at all. And I've been looking for an opportunity to go work there, because it's a 5 minutes walk from home, so convenient. I bet it's not going to be long hours, because most times they'll start you with a few hours. Then maybe when you get to work there, you can negotiate your way around overtime and all those kinds of things. Opportunities are there once you get there. So I did not know, but this neighbor told me that, you know what, somebody is actually resigning in a week's time. So it has not been posted, but just look out for it in the website. So don't stop talking to people, keep looking, be on the internet, make the internet your friends. Most of the time where you stay, you'll always have a community page, several community pages on Facebook for buying, for selling, for jobs available around your area. So keep looking out. And in the meantime, just take comfort in the knowledge that you're not going to work in these kind of jobs forever. you're probably going to get some skills when the right time comes, and then explore. I keep running out of memory space, so yeah, you're not going to work in this kind of jobs forever. A time will come and you'll gain the necessary skills. Some of these jobs also help you know what you don't want to do. Sometimes you might think that you always wanted to be in a certain line of duty, but being in that environment, even if you're not doing the exact same job, will give you the most realistic idea of what goes into a job. So you will know. Case scenario, you know, I always thought that I might go into nursing or the medical field because my mom was a nurse and I care about people. So it's not that I want to do it because everyone who comes to these countries, this is what they do, but it is the one job that is I don't know if I should say it's readily available, but there are a lot of people who take up nursing when they come abroad. So for me, it was not just doing it for the sake of doing it, but being in the hospital environment as a domestics assistant made me get a reality check on what being a nurse abroad actually entails. So it's the best way to learn, being in that environment, seeing what they do every day, every minute, every hour. It gives you a good glimpse. And it's not, nursing here is not like nursing in Kenya, by the way, where the nurse is only dishing out injections and medication, and then, you know, they act like the chief CEO of the hospital. Hapana, here nursing is hands-on. You know, you're gonna be injecting, doing the medications, doing every other thing, plus doing a caregiver's work. You know, depending on the kind of ward that you'll work in, changing day pass, spreading, changing beddings, all those kind of things that we never saw nurses doing back in Kenya. So that's just an example. So like I said, keep researching beyond the internet. Research, try and align yourself with the kind of employment that you want to see yourself in a couple of years. There's so many ways to sample those kind of environments. Find a job in those companies, even if it is as a cleaner, domestics. Get in there and see what's going on in there, first-hand experience, so that you don't need to be told by other people. So other than that, I think I'll be talking more about my experiences once I start my next job. But if you want to know how hard it is and how physically demanding it is, I couldn't even record or edit any videos for like 6 or 7 months. That's why I was not even bothered to be on this channel, because trust me, where was the strength gonna come from, and the energy of going to work, coming back, taking care of my kids, my family, cleaning, doing all these things? It's a lot of work. It's like being one person in 5 in here. Back home in Africa, that's where the house managers, housekeepers come in to offload you some of the work. You know, they'll take care of the house or your children as you go to work and can be a full-time mom in the continent, but that's not the same here. There's a way that people do it. I'm still navigating this space. I'm new here, but I'm learning a lot. I'm adjusting. And I can't even begin to, when I look back at my photos or my videos and I see where I was the first time when I came to this country, like I used to get anxiety attacks just getting on the bus, the currency, the not knowing about the bus timings. Anyway, I'll talk about all that in the next video. Thank you so much for listening to Mama Watoro. As usual, if you've not subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? And you can let me know in the comment section below what kind of videos you want to see from Mama Watoro. Other than that, this talk came to you from a place of peace and love. Hakuna makasiriko na Mama Watoto. Have a good week and see you next time.